Sorry. You know, you get an itch on your toe. Oh, I'm sorry. Right? You just get one of those itches where you either just can't quite get it or you get it really, really good. I'm in between on that. Had it for a moment there. Oh, okay. Oh, I have to mute my phone. Hang on. There we go. There, that'll make it better, so my phone won't keep vibrating as we're going. Hi, Hallie, how are you? No, I don't do that. Hello. Good, I'm glad that you're good. But yeah, I don't do that. I don't just let random people join. But you can stick around and hang out. Buenas noches. What? Yes, it's after 6. My pronunciation was probably terrible, though. I'm going to check in on the collective energy with the cards, and then we're going to move on to. I do a collective energy check-in. That's what I do here. Hi, Liz. How are you? And then we're going to talk about the energies of the living sky. Apparently, I have to pick up this card and address it first. It's not letting me move on. Okay. Hi, Priya. I'm good, Liz. I'm good. I don't do things like that. I don't do questions like that. If you want a reading, you can go check out my website and get a reading. Or you can wait and maybe at the end, I'll give a free card here or there. What I'm going to do is do a collective reading. So you can listen to what the collective reading says and maybe it will apply. It usually does. There's usually a reason why people are drawn to the live on the days that they're drawn to it. But at the end of the day, you'll probably at least see that what this is saying about society is quite accurate. And then we're going to talk about the living sky. So the energies of the week and how the planets are going to how the planets are going to move this coming week. We do have, so this is going to be looking at the sky. Just let me pull up my calendar so I can do the right dates. This is looking at the sky from the 26th of April to the 2nd of May. And on the 1st of May, we have a full moon in Libra. Now, mainstream astrology is, what are they saying? Would they be saying that it's a full moon in Scorpio, or would they be saying it's a full moon in, I don't know. I don't keep track of mainstream anymore. So just give me a second. I can search it. May 2nd, unless somebody knows on my live zodiac. I work with True Sidereal and the Living Sky. Yay! Happy birthday, Liz. Happy solar return. Scorpio. So they're saying in mainstream that it's in Scorpio. So what they're going to tell you to do for rituals and stuff like that on the full moon are going to be quite different than what we should actually be doing because of where the energy actually is, right? There's a big difference between Libra energy and Scorpio energy. And so I work with the Living Sky with the actual energies that are there. You can verify this on the skylive.com app or any other like Stellarium, stuff like that. The only time there may be changes is just depending on where people consider the borders of things to be. So there can be some inconsistencies there, but that's what I'm using as the Sky Live, and I confirm everything through that. So if you want to check out those, you can check out those readings there. That I do both. I do both natal charts and readings with your astrology, and I also do tarot readings on my site. And it's interesting because my specialty or my background is actually in trauma and the nervous system. And I help guide you on your awakening journey. Because a part of that awakening journey is definitely the healing of trauma. And the other part is, coming to terms with the information that you're learning as you're awakening and how you can keep your nervous system at a spot that you can handle what's coming. So your nervous system capacity determines what you can hold. That's the relationships that you have, that's the money that you can have, that's everything that's going on in your life. The more that you master your nervous system, the more your life is going to show up aligned and healthy for you. So the first card that came out, and the only card that came out so far, because it was really important that I address it apparently, is the 10 of water, but the 10 of water in the reverse situation, or in the reverse. So water is the element that governs our emotions. It's our memory. It's also aligned with the energy of the moon. So when we're looking at how it would cross over with astrology, this would be the moon. And this, when we're looking at tens are usually endings that are also beginnings, because a 10 is the first double number that also, if you add 1 and 0 together, becomes 1, which is the number that represents a beginning. So that's the number reference to the card, but we also have the emotional reference, again, the moon. So that's how they relate. The energy of this card when it's reversed is that it's referencing emotional distance. It's talking about that there may be some discontent that's happening in your relationships, that you may be feeling disconnected from your joy, or you're searching for meaning. And I think a lot of us, and this is collective energy, right? This is that collective energy. So the energy collectively is that a lot of us are feeling this emotional distance, or we are feeling disconnected in our relationships, or disconnected from our joy. And a lot of us are searching for meaning. Right? That's definitely, I would agree, that's the energy that the collective is experiencing right now. As more and more truths are revealed, you have to be able to be prepared to handle those. The less that you can handle right now, the harder it is to be handling things in the future. So if right now you're struggling with overwhelm or overthinking, not being able to make decisions, stuff like that, then you should be working on getting practices now so that the information that comes later on isn't going to destroy you. And I don't mean that in, like a foreboding or a doom way, but it's, the world's gotten crazier. Like when we think about when you were a child, right? If I think about, I was born in the 70s, and, when I think about life in the 70s and 80s, which is when, I spent from 6 until 16 in the 80s, until 90. So that was such a different time than what we're exposed to now, right? It's gotten much crazier. So if you're at this point here where everything's really making you feel overwhelmed, or you don't know how to handle things right now, then what that's telling you is you need to find ways to learn how to handle things like this when they're coming at you, so you can be prepared for what's coming next without it affecting you like it is now, or worse. Right? And where our nervous system is sitting, so if my nervous system is in fear mode, I'm going to be magnetizing experiences of fear to me, because that's what I'm sitting in. That's like finds like, right? This isn't something that's spiritual woo-woo stuff. This is math. This is science. I mean, this is absolute science. Okay, let's see what else is happening for the collective, because we do know there is a lot of identity searching. There's a lot of, and many of us need to detach for a reason, right? Like you have to detach from the stuff that's going on around us. Because if we didn't, right, it would be just overwhelming. Hello, sweetheart. I hope Sha'Ryah shows up. All right. We got the King of Earth out in the upright position. So this is where we are, right? We're in this state of identity stuff, right? This is telling us that we are in a leadership, like we're moving into a leadership position. And what's coming out from this isn't somebody else leading us, right? True leadership is governing yourself, right? It's being able to look after yourself. And true leadership, when true leadership rises, true leadership isn't about control, right? When you think about a company, the health of a company is determined by its lowest employees, right? So if the lowest employees that you have feel like they are not being paid enough, they can barely afford to pay their bills, so they're not getting a living wage. If the people that are in your employment feel like they don't matter, if they feel like, well, if they felt like what society feels like, which is that they're actually like, if they thought that their employers were poisoning them every day, the air, the water, the food, the land, if they thought that they were lying to them and feeding them propaganda and doing all of this stuff, right? Like, would you still be working there? Would you still be like, would you care who the president is? Like, would it matter? No, that's not true leadership. That's not a company that's not a true leader. A true leader is somebody who the lowest employee has a beautiful living wage, is happy to come to work, sees that is valued and appreciated, that the entire company feels that there is a fairness across the line. There is a level of, like it's a different environment than the environment that the world is currently under, right? So we're just looking at it that way. So this is the leadership that we're moving from. We're moving from that toxic leadership that we have been under for a really long time into this healthy leadership. But I'm seeing this as an individual, like as each of us individually stands up and declares that we are sovereign and that we do not need somebody external to us to tell us how to live, how to be in alignment with ourselves, or to govern everything around us, especially when they're not doing a good job of anything. If we were to give a report card to the way that society is being run now, I think that we could collectively give everybody a big flying F, like a giant F, big red F. Like, I know as a teacher, I've taught I was a nurse for 20 years, but I've always been a teacher too, right? Like, I was a tutor all through my years in school. And then I went into nursing because I could be a teacher as well as a nurse. And I did that. I was a nurse teacher, a nurse educator. I did all kinds of stuff. Plus, you're always educating patients. So I got to do both things. And, but, in that education sense, right? Like, if we were to give a report card to society and to the people that are in control, how good are they doing? Right? Like I'm pretty certain we could give them all an F. So we do need this leadership and this leadership from within for each of us to know that, when we know what is right and we know what is wrong, we really do. We really, really do. People pretend that they don't, and they fight really hard for their belief systems, but they do know that they're lying to themselves in the core. And there are, other things about. But anyway, let's talk about the King of Earth. The King of Earth reminds you that abundance is built through patience, strategy, and care. True prosperity is not just about accumulating wealth, but creating a lasting, secure foundation that supports your growth and the well-being of those around you. Because the King of Earth also speaks about legacy, right? This is not just about wealth for you. This is wealth for the next generation. So this is wealth for your children and your children's children. And then we get to this would kind of represent that Capricorn energy. And next we would go to Aquarius, and Aquarius is like, well, if it's good for us, it's got to be good for everybody else. And we're going to head to that, right? All right, let's see. What else are the cards saying about the collective energy right now? So money's coming in, abundance is coming in, and it's because we're starting to align with that energy and that leadership energy. And, this one is really wanting to come out. Okay, fine. Them two wanted to come out. Okay, so we got one in the reverse. Oh, and one in the upright. Okay, let's see what the reverse one has to say first, because I picked it up first. So this one here is the 5 of ether. So let's flip that around. The five of ether in the reverse is talking about this resistance to change. And that's been coming up a lot, and everybody does. We all resist to change. There is literally a breaking point for everybody. You find yours when you find yours. I found mine when I found mine. Mine happened when I got really sick, and my health just went to crap. And I started getting diagnosed after diagnosis, and I was just like, And then I took time off work to deal with all that was going on with that. And then the realization that I hadn't dealt with all my trauma became very relevant at that point. And so that started me on my healing journey because I wanted to get back to work. And that was the biggest part of it in the beginning. In the beginning, my focus was I have to get back to work. I have to get back to work. I got to get back to work. How quickly can I get back to work? And at the end of my healing, it became more about what was healthy for me. And I stopped caring about work. And that was one of the best shifts that I made mentally, was to put the focus back on just me and my health. And that's when I actually went into true healing and not just trying to get a quick fix so I could get back to work as quick as possible. So the Five of Ether is a reminder that conflict, when embraced with divine perspective, leads to higher evolution. The universe is realigning. Trust the recalibration. The storm clears the way for clarity, truth, and cosmic ascension. You've got to use the conflicts in your life as a crucible of change. That's one of my favorite things to say. And I talk about it with most of the fives because the fives in tarot speak about conflict. So in this situation, right, if you use the conflict as an opportunity for growth, if you use the things that come up in your life that push against you, that cause an emotional reaction, if those are the moments that you take and reflect, or when life goes in a circle again and again and again, and you're like, well, there's a pattern I've seen before. Why is this pattern here? Why do I keep seeing the same thing? Because something in you hasn't released either the identity that's attached to that pattern, or it hasn't worked through the trauma that underlies it, or the belief system that holds it up. So it's identifying, well, this pattern keeps showing up, or this thing keeps causing me pain or problems or whatever. I have to work through this. So that's the energy of the five. Like, why is this conflict here? What is it teaching me about myself? What is it teaching me about the other? Whatever the other is, my place of employment, my relationship, life itself. Because a lot of times we're in conflict with things that, there's no other that's sitting across the table from you, right? We sometimes make conflicts in our own minds. I have to check and see if my tea's warm. It got a little bit cold earlier. Oh, it's almost perfect, but I will say it's perfect as is. Okay. When we determine to do that, when we look at our conflicts and we say, how can this make me a better person, as an example, or where can I afford a person grace? Sometimes that's what it's asking. There's things that conflict's asking you. But when you grow through that, then we get the Fool. And the Fool isn't because you were a fool to forgive or you were a fool to work through that. No, the Fool represents newness. This is a new adventure. So we're moving through this conflict. And once we agree to move beyond this conflict, and that's like, don't keep your attention on it. Right. And right now it's easy for us. It's like this flashy thing over here and all of our attention's going on that. And for many of us, that's fear, fear, fear. And then some of our attention's going on this. And for some of us, that's rage, 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 anger, 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 and we're going between all of these energies, and those energies aren't good for us. If we can find a way to turn our attention away from the dysfunction, the lies, the manipulation, all of that stuff, and turn our attention towards the things that are actually working or that we want to do, what we want to create. So if we start to creating the new things and put our focus on creating the new, as opposed to putting our awareness and our attention to keep upholding the wrong, right? Then that's how the new gets created. And that's what this beautiful little Fool is talking about. The Fool reminds you that you are a divine explorer here to experience, create, and expand. Step forward and trust that the universe is dancing with you every step of the way. So for some of us, we are going to be taking new trips. We're going to be taking new journeys. And I don't mean that means you're jumping on a plane and going somewhere, although certainly for somebody that's exactly what it means. But what it means is it could be the point in time where, you know, you've realized this limitless potential that you have, or you've had this beautiful dream for so long, and now you've decided, I'm taking this leap of faith. And that's what the Fool always represents, is that leap of faith that you can do this. And you have to be foolish, right? I was foolish when I jumped off the ledge into my company, right? I was jumped from a 6-figure into nothingness and said, I got this. That was it was foolish. It was foolish. It was quite the trip. So this is our collective energy that we're dealing with right now. I think I want to look at my my little way cards, the 44 keys of the way. I love this little deck of cards. I painted these pictures in watercolors. Yeah. And so anyway, these are all my paintings. All the cards are my pictures. I just did these ones in Procreate, the tarot cards, whereas these ones I did in watercolor with some little touches to it. Okay, so the first card that came out is the Open Path. And this is confirmation of the Fool card, right? So the collective, we are coming to this space. So the affirmation is, I remain open to new possibilities. The remembrance is, openness increases options. Rigidity narrows them. Curiosity invites solutions. And these 3 lines, each one of them carry a little bit of something. So openness creates options, or increases options. Sorry, openness increases options. So if I'm sitting there and I'm going, I used to talk about this early in my channel. If I'm sitting there and I'm going, please, 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 just can I have a new house? I just want a house. I 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 want a house. You could be focusing on just that one item, rather than focusing on that there's a multitude of different ways in which that you could receive that thing. So by having the openness that you could receive in a multitude of ways, right? Rather than just focusing on money for one thing. So rather than just focusing on money, you would say, I am, looking to receive a house through money, through donation, through lottery, through, so that openness opens up opportunities for you. The rigidity narrows them is, again, it's just the opposite of that. If you're focusing on only one potential way that you're going to receive something, then you narrow the ability for the universe to provide that to you. You narrow your options, right? So keep yourself open to multiple. And then the curiosity invites solutions. Curiosity is the source of genius. When we're looking at children, when they test the genius of children, they're testing their curiosity level. And that's one of the things that they take out of you in the school system is your natural curiosity. And they call it they give it back to you later a little bit in university, and they call that critical thinking. But in the beginning, children, they're used to being very creative and thinking out of the box. And that's what genius is the ability to think of things in a creative manner and to come up with solutions that are different. So, when you're in school and the teacher says to you, you have to do your math like this and you have to provide the answer, and they want you to do it in a specific way, that's because that takes the genius out of you. They take that creative thought away, and they're telling you it has to be this way for it to be accepted. And if you think differently, you're going to fail. And they code that in you until you agree to, until that becomes a normal for you. So curiosity, being open to curiosity, opens you up to solutions. It opens you up to opportunities. It opens you up to ideas. And curiosity is where the child lives. And when they talk about the kingdom of heaven and accessing it as a child, that's what they mean about being open. Because if you expect it, or if you think that you know the way, that you know the path, then you're probably wrong. That's kind of the concept there. Okay, so the practice is to try one new approach, observe your results, and then keep what works. Okay. The next card that came out from that particular deck is the Inner Witness. The affirmation, I observe my life with clarity and compassion. So the remembrance here is the witness sees without collapsing into the experience. We're meant to be detached observers. We're not meant to invest so much into what we're seeing, but we do. We get invested in a lot of things, and across the globe, we'll be invested in things in countries we don't even know. And with all the lies that we're told, we shouldn't believe it either, because there's a very likely reality that it's not even true, that it's not even happening, that it's just a green screen or holograms or whatever, right? Because that's what level of deception we're now at, right? So we have to really be able to witness everything that's going on without collapsing into the emotions of everything, without allowing ourselves to take it on ourselves. Because all that's doing is hurting you. It's putting you in an emotional energy that affects you and your life. And that's energy that they can then harness. That's what looshing is all about. All right. So then the next part is this creates space between stimulus and response, right? When we are seeing what's out there, the stimulus, right? Stuff that's happening around us. When we can detach ourselves from the emotional involvement in it, then we have more opportunity to respond rather than be pushed into a situation where we react. Because once we emotionally invest in it, then next thing you know, your nervous system's dysregulated. So you're in either fight, flight, freeze, disassociate, fawn, whatever dysfunctional nervous system state you go to for whatever situation that you're currently in. But when you allow yourself to detach back from it, you can witness it and say, that's a terrible thing that's happening, but I don't know if it's even true. So until there's a confirmation of such, I'm not even going to invest. I can't invest in it that way anyway. But from that space, then you have the opportunity to make wiser choices, and compassion grows as well when you can see without judgment. Because the other part is when I'm thinking about the emotions, I'm thinking about investing in it like something you see that's very terrible, and you invest in it and you get sad about it. But what about the things that you get invested in that are wrong and they're very judgmental things, right? Where you're like yelling about a certain people because you were told that was a bad people, and and you're seeing things that give evidence to that, right? So when you realize that it can be faked and manipulated and lied and skewed and clipped, right? How many times do we have to see where they take a video and they trim a whole bunch, and they take another video and they mush them together and they make it seem like somebody said or did something that they didn't do? How many times do we have to have evidence of that before we realize that it can all be fake? And we stop investing in any of it, right? Until we have more confirmation. Okay, so the practice is to name whatever emotion is present, to say this is here, and to just breathe with it for 60 to 90 seconds, and then let it go. Okay, move beyond it. All right, the last card that came out is the light of discernment. And the affirmation is, I trust my ability to sense truth. Remembrance. Discernment is felt before it is explained. The body registers alignment and misalignments quickly. Trust grows by checking and choosing repeatedly. And clarity compounds with use. And it does. I've been trying to explain people, if you're not attached to your body, if you're disassociating from your body, your discernment is going to be off. If your brain is going a mile a minute, if you're anxious and you're thinking about things out in the future, or you're in woe was me in the past, it doesn't matter where you are. If you aren't in the present moment, your mind is not present. And that means that your discernment is already going to be less than it would if you were in the present moment connected fully to your body. Because then you're going to notice those cues, those subtle signals that your body gives you. When somebody says something to you, let's say you heard terrible stories about an employer, and you run into said employer and they offer you a job, and your body goes, eek. You actually feel your body do that, where it almost feels like it shot some like quills out from behind you or something. Like, you feel like this like spiky energy inside you, or this like tension, like this clamping up. If you're not attached or connected to your body and you don't catch that cue, then you start, like, oh, maybe the person was wrong. Maybe, it was just a personality clash. Maybe, and you start rationalizing and telling yourself why that person said something, or why what that information is wrong, so that you can maybe accept the job, because maybe you need a job. And if you're connected to your body in the present moment, you're going to have felt that signal that your body gave you. That signal that your body gave you wasn't, hey, remember what your friend said? That's partly what it was, but it's also what your body's telling you is, this is not aligned for you. This person doesn't feel good to me. So if you're too busy in your head being in the future, or looking at things in the past, and you're not feeling your body fully, then you're missing out on all of those cues that it's giving you. And a lot of us through trauma have disconnected from our bodies significantly, right? We disconnected from our bodies because it was the safest place to be, right? Dissociation is one of the keys of childhood trauma, right? You disassociated from your body so that you didn't feel the full brunt of what you were experiencing. And that's how we kept ourselves sane, right? So those, so and some of us, we got so accustomed to it, we've never come back into our bodies. We don't really feel them fully, right? And so you have to know if that's you and start doing the work so that you can feel your body. Okay. Turn that down so it doesn't get too hot. So the practice for this one with discernment, because you need to feel what your body's saying. And the only way you can feel what your body's saying is you've got to be connected to your body. And it really helps if you're in the present moment and your brain's also not going do. So the practice is to present yourself with two options and feel each one in the body, and then choose the one that feels steady, not urgent. Or if you're testing yourself on this, you can be testing with two different things, like asking yourself random questions. Ask yourself, do I like big dogs? And see what that feels like in your body. Do I like little dogs? And feel like what that feels like in your body, right? And you can ask yourself those things and see how your body feels, so you can start to understand the difference, that like the different ways that your body feels as you're experiencing something that's aligned with you and something that's not aligned with you, right? That's how you build your discernment. Okay. All right, we're going to get into talking about the energies of the week. And then we'll see. That is perfecto. Exactly what I want. StreamYard did an update and it's exactly what I wanted. I'm very happy with that. Okay, so today we are looking at, let me get my lineup of planets and stuff up. All right. So the planets, what are we dealing with? We have the sun in Aries. This is verifiable in the living sky. Tropical will have you thinking that we are all, well, we would be in Aries season as well. Anyway, sun is in Aries. Mercury is in Pisces. I don't know why my list is that way. Okay. That makes sense. We'll do the moon progression later. Sun is in Aries. Mercury is in Pisces. Venus is in Taurus. Mars is in Pisces. Jupiter is in Gemini. Saturn is in Pisces. Uranus is in Taurus. Neptune is in Pisces. And Pluto is in Capricorn. This week, we will start with the moon in Leo today, and then it will move into Virgo. I believe it moves into Virgo tomorrow, where it will sit in Virgo for most of the week before it goes into Libra just before the weekend. So I think on Friday. On Friday, May 1st, we have the full moon, which is in Libra, and it's also a micro moon this time. And that's because it's at the furthest distance from the Earth this time when it's in full moon. Okay, so we've got the Aries and the sun now. And when the Aries, when the sun moves into Aries, that's when we get this natural energy of go. It's the time that we just feel more energetic. And it could be because we're seeing more sun, unless you're like me and it's just been zigzag, crisscross, applesauce, cloud city, snow city, squalls and cold weather and stuff. But eventually we'll get some sun. But when we have the sun in Aries, there's more willingness to act. There's more clarity through your movements because Aries just is direct, right? It's the direct energy. But that doesn't mean that everything should be acted on, okay? It just means that there's momentum available. So when you have clarity and discernment and you make the right decisions and you take the steps forward, you can use that great Aries energy for your momentum. But just be careful that you're not using it impulsively because it's momentum. All right, so we've got the moon in Leo and going into Libra. So we're going to progress from expression of Leo to evaluation. And Leo is that moon of expression. Leo is visibility. It is that energy moving outwardly. It's people wanting to show up. And it's saying things and doing things like you're empowered. This is powerful, this passionate energies, fire energies, forward motion. Same thing with Aries energy, right? That Leo moon is definitely an outward energy. And then we have Virgo moon. So on the 27th, so tomorrow, it goes into Virgo. And when it goes into Virgo, the emotional energy is going to tighten then. Right? Because Virgo is concerned about refining and about mastery. In mainstream astrology, they give Virgo the energy of like the critic and of the perfectionist. And although those can be there in a toxic way, I suppose, but when we're looking at the true energy of Virgo, Virgo is about the details, is about refining things. So whereas Leo tells you what you truly love, what's really aligned with you in that authenticity. Virgo then says, great, so that's what's aligned with us. Now let's refine our environment and let's, so we can do this. So if Leo came in and Leo was like, oh my God, what would be really aligned with me? To run a marathon. And then Virgo moon would come in and said, that's great. Let's make a plan. Let's refine our routines and our habits. So we know we're going to start running tomorrow. We're going to, we're going to look at our diet. We're going to look at our mindset. Like we got to do all of these things. Let's, get an app or, like whatever, like let's pick a race. Like there's be some plan. That's what Virgo's doing. So whatever it is that Leo brought to light, that Leo makes you go, yeah, I love that. Yeah, that's me. Then Virgo says, okay, let's make it so that it actually sticks. And it will be correction as well. It could be like, okay, well then if you're going to run a marathon, you can't have chocolate cake every day, right? If that was the case, right? Hello, is that in mainstream or is that in, is that in true sidereal per se, possibly? What astrology or... Because I can tell you what those mean for sure. Tropical. Okay. So if you were to put them through the true sidereal system, it typically nudges them over by 1. So if you're sitting with a Capricorn rising, then that would mean that you would be a Sagittarius rising. And instead of a Scorpio sun, you'll become a Virgo sun. And instead of Pisces moon, Aquarius moon. And it'd be interesting to see what that looked like for you. Give me a second. I teach courses on this. So give me a second because I have all kinds of stuff. Hi, Miss Carol. And we'll talk about the next moon after that. I might have to take my sweater off. I've I don't usually wear it in the house, and I can feel like I'm getting warm. I look warm on that one for sure. Okay. Hi, how are you? How are you? Look at you, over 10K. Congrats, friend. Good job. Okay. I'm like, I was looking for something. I was looking for something. Let me see. Okay, so do you want me to read it for you if I switch you to true sidereal, or do you want me to read what the tropical would be, but under my thing? And all my thing is I just take the distortions out. So where they made signs seem like they were like jerks and stuff, I took, I removed all the distortions. Smart girl. Okay, you said Capricorn rising. So in this would be an interesting combination. Okay, so if I took you to true sidereal, you would be Sagittarius rising. So Sagittarius rising usually approaches life with exploration and optimism. There is often a natural desire to expand knowledge, travel, or explore philosophy and meaning, right? Sagittarius is the great explorer of higher topics, like would be into mysticism. That would be someone that would look at like all kinds of big topics, and then want to teach them too. Like you want to talk about them. When combined with the sun and moon placement, this rising sign tends to emphasize vision, enthusiasm, and a forward-looking mindset. You possibly have Capricorn somewhere. You might even have Capricorn in your Mars placement, which would give you, that's why Capricorn might fit in that way. Like, because there's so many other ways that your signs make sense, right? If you looked at the difference between those two, Capricorn rising tends to interact with life through structure and long-term planning. There is often a disciplined approach to goals and responsibilities. When combined with the sun and moon placements, this rising sign tends to emphasize determination, patience, and strategic thinking. So do you show up like the big daddy man? Do you show up when you show up in the room, are people like, well, there's the boss? Or do they show up in the room and think there's the teacher? There's the philosopher, there's the... Oh yeah, either way. So sun sign, you said Scorpio sun. Scorpio sun carries depth and transformative power. This placement often seeks truth beneath the surface and has strong emotional intensity and resilience. You would be a Libra sun, which seeks balance, harmony, and fair interaction between people. There is often a natural sensitivity to relationships and aesthetics. Happy birthday. You're the second person to come in and say that you had a birthday this week. The other one was on the 2nd of the 2nd. That's so cool. Happy birthday, Carol. And that's your solar return, right? The planets align beautifully on your solar return. Ooh, you gave me an idea. You know what? I'm going to put it on my site that if you get a natal chart done for your birthday, I'll give you 25% off the cost of the natal chart. I'm just going to put that as a standing thing. And it would be easy to give you because you have to give me your birthday, right? You'd have to prove your birth. Well, otherwise you're getting a date. You're getting it for the wrong days. Okay. Back to the suns. So the Scorpio sun carries that trend. So which one sounded more like you? The one that is seeking balance, harmony, and fair interaction between people, or someone that's looking to seek the balance that you're always trying to get the secrets out. You're always trying to, you're very emotionally intense. And then you had your moon, which was Pisces and Aquarius. So Pisces moon carries strong emotional sensitivity and empathy. This placement often feels deeply connected to subtle emotional environments. The Aquarius moon experiences emotions through intellectual awareness and broader perspective. Feelings are often processed through ideas and community connection. Be interesting to know which one lines up more with you. Give me a second. I got something for you, Carol. I'm going to have to pull my thing over. You're going to hear my keyboard. That's okay, though. No. I just wanted to get a quick look at yours. So you would be an Aries sun, Carol. I do. I agree. 100%. Do you know how long I've been doing this for, Carol? 5 years. 5 years. And you know what is astounding? I still haven't hit 10K. I used to do 3 hours a day, 5 days a week. That's how I know that I have been. But I keep showing up. I keep showing up and I keep showing up. And I just believe that those that are meant to hear me will hear me. And those that are meant to find me will find me. And if I just keep showing up, it's, at the end of the day, I win. But yeah, this July is 5 years. Yeah. Yeah. High perspective, Ontario. So yeah, I just did a quick chart for you. Like I didn't, because I don't have your time or place of birth, right? But you would be a sun in Aries and you would be a moon in Leo. Yeah. Right, Liz? Yeah, it's like I had a contest. I ran a contest last week for a free astrology reading and a free tarot reading. So I was giving away 2 readings. I had across all my social media, which is 20,000 followers, 3 people that entered the contest. One was my best friend and I had to push her to go do it. I was like, I couldn't give away readings right now. I think about all the things that I'm capable of and all the things that I offer at my company. And, I think about all the things that I create and I wish so much for someone just to receive them. Yeah. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened, how I disappeared from everybody's thing. It was like a void that I was in. It was so weird. There was a time when I was doing it quite frequently. I had quite a few, I would get quite a few on my thing. Yeah. I realized that too, Carol. I realized that because I do speak the truth and that's why. And I'm not pretending anything. Yeah. I don't, if when you work with me, you work with me to get healed, or you work with me to be free. You work to me to be sovereign. I don't give you things you can't, you take them home to use them. It's which does remind me though, I am running a 10-day thing next week, starting on the 30th, I have no concept of time. It's poor. On the 30th, so Thursday, I am starting a 10-day return to center course. So we would be hanging out for 10 days in a row at 3 p.m. Mountain is what time I put it down for, which would be 5 p.m. Eastern. But they'll all be recorded. And this is to return you to center. There's a lot of simple practices. It's all about the present moment, returning to the truth. So it's all these little practices plus a PDF with a whole bunch of extra practices because I always go over and above. I haven't been able to stop doing that yet. I always give extra. That's just me. But yeah, no, I just keep showing up. I just keep believing and trusting and showing up. And one thing that I have done is mastered my nervous system over the last 5 years. And by mastering my nervous system, I get to help guide other people in how to master theirs. I stay very calm all the time these days. And, my capacity to hold things is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's what happens when you learn to master your nervous system. I have, started to work on just peeling away every layer of lie. That's what I must have been born to do, is just find the lies and peel them away. When I do my true sidereal, like when you look at true sidereal, it includes the 13th sign, Ophiuchus. And Ophiuchus is, with Scorpio's death and rebirth, Ophiuchus is the healer. It's the phoenix risen, not the phoenix rising, but what happens after the phoenix has risen. And it's that healing energy. Right? Oh, yes. Last year was huge. The snake year, shedding. Oh, I shed so much last year. It was crazy. Oh, but what a good year. What a good year at the end of it, right? We came through so much, and yeah, and stronger on the other side of it for sure. Yeah. It's been a bunch of changes for sure. Right? Yeah. I had to have faith when there was nothing, right? I was so close to being homeless, and there were so many times when I was that close to giving up my dog because I thought he'd be better off without me. There were so many times when, like I had those thoughts of like, why am I doing this? I love you. I love you. Have a wonderful night. We'll talk soon. Go do your live. Have a wonderful live. But yeah, it's that crazy road of the life that we're living, right? Absolutely. I would love that. I would love that. All right, so let's finish talking about the energy of the week, because we are at Virgo moon. Now we're going into Libra moon. After Virgo said what actually works versus what just felt good in the moment. Absolutely. Absolutely. So like what's actually working, and it's because Leo can get a little bit, this feels good. So maybe it's right for me. But the refinement of Virgo is going to narrow it down and really clarify. Maybe I don't want to run a marathon. Maybe a 5K would do. Maybe that's all I need. Right? So then we go into Libra, and Libra is like, okay, let's balance. And because Libra is about right relationship, and right relationship isn't just with another person. It can be with your environment. It can be with your habits. And that's that harmony and that balance that Libra likes to get, right? So they come in and they adjust it. They see clearly where things are off, where something needs to shift to come back into alignment. And plus it's a full moon. Full moons reveal. This is a micro moon though, because it's further away. So it shouldn't have as heavy of an effect, but it's just about working with the energies of it anyway. So Libra is going to reveal imbalances in relationships, decisions, and your direction. So just allow it to reveal those imbalances and then go, okay, so we'll shift into alignment again. We'll balance. We'll get back to where we need to be, right? You just use the energy and work with it to propel you in the right direction. And that's all we're meant to do. Look at your triggers that come up and say, hey, that triggered me. Why did that trigger me? Maybe I need to do some work in that space and understand that. Look at the conflicts in your life as a crucible for change. Why is this conflict here? Look at the patterns in your life. Why do they keep coming up? Why do they reappear? Look at, so that's all it is. Look at what comes up. So when the full moon reveals to you what's where there's an imbalance, balance it. That's it. All right. So we're going to talk a little bit about momentum and how that creates pressure, because I love to do a little bit of a teaching segment with every single one of my lives. And so with this one, we're going to just talk about that concept. So when energy increases, and Aries increases the energy for momentum, it gives you energy to go. You as soon as the sun starts coming out a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more, and it gets warmer and it gets warmer, every Canadian, every one of us is like, woohoo, it's time to go. It's time to do something. Let's do it. Right? You get the energy to act. Aries season is that energy to go. But when that energy increases, oftentimes you feel this pressure to make a decision, right? We have that pressure to move now. It can oftentimes, when we get that energy increase, it can feel like urgency. And so sometimes we have that pressure to also to act, right? Or to lock something in. Like we gotta respond now. But pressure is not the same as clarity. And when you act from that pressure spot, you can put yourself in a space where you need to create more corrections later because you moved too quickly. If you take a little bit of time just to sit with it and ask yourself, is this the thing that's aligned with me? And like I said, we go back to regulating your nervous system, connecting with your body in the present moment, and ask your body, because your body's going to know very clearly when something is not for you. And when you do that more and more and more, it becomes a very powerful tool. I know right away. If somebody asks me a question and it's not aligned with me, my body tells me very, very much. Like even right now, just talking about something not being aligned with me, my back's already kind of going, oh, like it's tensing up, making me want to retract away from whatever that is. That's my inner cue that that's not aligned with me. And you have one too. You just have to spend time developing it if you're not aware of what it is. Nothing that I do is anything special, and everything that I've done is I've only done it because I've done it. I've actually done it. I didn't just read about it. I actually did it, right? If I want to have better discernment, then I have to work on my discernment. If I want to hear my guides, like if I want to activate my gifts, then I have to spend time doing that, right? Like if you had to sit in stillness and silence in order to activate your gifts, are you doing it? Because if you're not, then, you probably should. It's just, it's one way to get there. Just letting you know. I'm dropping little tidbits here. Okay. So if you're acting from urgency, then you can be moving too quickly. You maybe didn't secure the foundation. Maybe you're heading in the direction that's just a little bit slightly off. I used to do that all the time because I was acting from urgency, because I left my nursing career and my stable income and I jumped off the ledge into my company, and then I floundered, and I could do what many people would have said I failed. And I didn't. I mean, financially, sure, I did not succeed to the levels that I definitely thought. I definitely was not surviving even. Like I said, I've been doing my company for 5 years, and there was a stretch where I narrowly avoided being homeless, and I narrowly avoided giving up my dog, and I owe everything to my mom and for that not happening. So someday she'll get hers. Someday. We have other planets to consider, not just the moon and not just those things. But anyway, I was operating from that space of urgency a lot because I needed to make money. I needed to make money. That didn't mean that what I was creating wasn't great, but it also put me in a position where, I didn't give myself, say, the time that I should have given myself to market something before releasing it, or I didn't advertise for things, or whatever it was, right? Because I rushed it. Or the product that I created maybe would have been just a teeny tiny bit better if I had slowed it down. Or maybe I would have felt more comfortable with the information that I was teaching and just taught it from a better space. But what ends up happening too, though, is if you're creating something or you're doing something from that space of urgency, other people are going to feel that. And they're going to be like, well, I don't want to work with her. She seems like she's like really desperate, right? It might come across to somebody else as desperate, and then they might not trust what you're bringing to the table. So yeah, just have to be careful how your energy is going to be interpreted, right? Okay, so the other planets that we're dealing with, we also have, just wait, I have to do my puzzle on this side. Yay, I did my puzzle. And that also means I get a sip of tea, and I'll turn off my heater. Okay, so Mercury in Pisces, that is going to keep our thinking fluid, because not everything is defined yet. So this is why we want to be careful with the decisions that we're making. We have Mars also in Pisces, and that's going to slow action, right? It's going to have us acting a little more emotionally, because Pisces is a water sign. It's emotional. So even with that Aries sun being there, there's still this need that you're going to be feeling your way forward because of all the Pisces influence that we're dealing with. Now, luckily enough, Venus is in Taurus. I don't know how much fun it would be if we had Venus in Pisces as well. But Venus in Taurus is stabilizing what we value, and it's also just stabilizing a bit of that energy as well. Then we have Gemini in Jupiter, which is expanding our options, and this can create more choice, not less. And we want to open ourselves up, right? We want to open ourselves up to options, to possibilities, to opportunities. As we're opened up to opportunities, we have the ability for more things to find us, right? If you open yourself up to miracles happen all the time, then miracles will start to happen more frequently for you because you are opening your awareness for that expectation. You're looking for that, right? Then we have Saturn and Neptune in Pisces as well. So between Saturn, Neptune, Mars, and Mercury, we have what's called a stellium in Pisces. So there's a lot of Pisces energy is what it means. And that Pisces energy in Saturn and Neptune is asking for embodied truth, not just ideas. Saturn is about responsibility. It's what governs your work. It's what's governing karma and stuff like that. Neptune is dreams. It's your intuition. It's I lost my train of thought. It's coming. So anyway, we're embodying the truth in those spaces. We also have Uranus in Taurus, which is continuing to shift what stability actually looks like. And then, of course, we've got Pluto in Capricorn, and that continues to restructure what is no longer sustainable. We have Big Daddy energy saying, what are the institutions that need to fall because they're not in integrity? What are these, this is the energies that we're working with right now. And that's beautiful energy. It's beautiful energy. So let's do our embodiment practice. And the embodiment practice today is the questions, right? We have our journal questions pretty much for our Sundays. But before we ask these questions, let's just connect to our bodies in the present moment and maybe just put your hand on your chest and take a nice deep breath in. And then exhale longer than you inhaled. What are you feeling pressure to decide right now? So where are you finding there's pressure in your life to answer something or to make a decision? And if you don't have anything that you're pressured in, that's amazing. Good job. Awesome. So if you're asking it to yourself, ask the question, what am I feeling pressure to decide right now? And then you're going to take another breath in and out, nice and slow, making sure the exhale is longer than the inhale. And to ask yourself, is that coming from clarity or from momentum? And just notice the difference, because you probably felt different between clarity and momentum. Okay. Hey, freebie. So I have a free group called Temple of Light. So if you're learning to move with clarity instead of reacting to pressure, you're welcome to come inside the Temple of Light. That's where we continue to do this work in a grounded and consistent way. Not everything that speeds up needs a decision. Some things are just meant to be observed as they unfold. You're not meant to, take everything in. We're not meant to take everything into our field, right? Did you guys want to try a card from the Return to Center Oracle deck? Would you like that? Because I would like to give Liz a card. Oh, apparently. Oh my goodness, that's hilarious. So I haven't finished the pictures for these, but I put the cards, I put the writing on the cards. So there's no picture to show you. It's just my writing on the back. The card that came out for you, because I said, would Liz like a card? And then a card flipped over and sat upside down in the deck. And this is the one. It's called Return to Yourself. Come back to your center. Attention has moved outward. Recentering restores clarity and self-reconnection. Place your hand on your chest and focus inward for 60 seconds. So just spend 60 seconds inside your own body, inside your own mind. You can even slow down your breathing while you do it. I think that was just cute. Return to yourself. That's actually the name is Return to Self. So my little mini course that I have that's 10 days is Return to Self. Sorry, it's to Center, Return to Center. My 6-week 12-session course is Return to Self. And then the next one in that is Embodied Self. And that one's in record. Well, anyway. It'll be run some point in time, but it was just interesting. That's the card that came up. Did anyone else want a card? These are Return to Center Oracle cards. They're very simple little messages, right? You should do that every day, just whatever moment that you can find, just put your hands and just close your eyes and just go within for 1 minute, just 1 minute, whenever you can find a minute. Right? How nice would that be? Did anybody else want a card? Free one card, one free card. And if nobody wants it, I'm going to let you go because it's 7-Eleven. Oh, thank heaven, 7-Eleven. Somebody wants a card. They're just too shy to ask. Huh. Well, I'm going to read this card, and then if nobody asks for one by the time I'm done reading this card, we're done. Okay. So if you are asking for a card, but we're too afraid to ask for a card, this could be your card. Okay. So it's called Regulation, and it says, slow your movements. I don't know if she's here, but that's my sissy, Lauren. Hello, love. Hi, Annika. Thank you for liking the live. Fast movement reinforces urgency. And I talked about how when I was very unhealed and I had what was called high functioning anxiety, and I drove fast, I walked fast, I talked fast, I worked hard, I worked just all of that. Hi, punchlines. Hello, love. How are you doing? I have a card for you. All right. So fast movement reinforces urgency. If you're moving fast, it's going to reinforce the anxiety that you're feeling. It's going to keep your system activated. It's the same thing with everything. When you're in your car, it's an avatar of you. So if you're in your car and you're driving really fast, you're activated, or more than likely you're activated. So slow down. When you slow down, that shifts your system towards regulation. It's like when you start to walk slower, your body goes, hey, wait a second, we're not rushing anymore. There's no fire. I can calm down again, right? So the embodiment practice here is to move deliberately for 60 seconds. So that means that you walk slow, you reach slow, like every action that you take is deliberate. Okay. So whoever needed to hear that message is for you. All right, Lauren. Besides giving you lots of love, sending you hugs through the screen. All right, let's see. Can I get a really good message for Lauren? What does she need right in this moment? Hi, Dawson's Shoop. I don't know if you're there for sure, but if you are, hello, hello. Okay, so these are my cards. I don't have the picture. The pictures are on my iPad right now. I think I've created 22 of 66 pictures. So I have a long way to go. So the card that came out for you came out from the integration section, and it says, hold your direction. Stay on course. External inputs can disrupt your path. Don't listen to the people outside of you. You know what you're supposed to be doing. You know your truth. You know the path that's the right path for you, the healthy path for you. Don't listen to anyone else on the outside. Oftentimes they're going to be telling you stuff because they want to keep you where they are, because they're not strong enough to do what you're doing. Maintaining direction prevents drift and supports progress. So it's just one step in front of the other. Keep heading in the direction that you're headed in, and you're going to get there. Okay. The path is unfolding beneath your feet as you walk it. Okay. So restate your intention and align your next action with it. So what is your goal? State it and then take action on it. You got this. You got this. How did that card feel like for you, sweetie? Oh, I almost dropped them all. Did anybody else want a card? I'm not going to stay on past 7:30, so you got about 15 minutes to get a free card. Otherwise, you can go to my website and get a reading and pay for one. Get you can go get a paid one, a big full reading. I do readings in both tarot and also in astrology using true sidereal. So if you're looking at what the living sky was like when you were born and want to know what the planets truly say about who and what you are, then check out the website and get a full reading. I love you too. I love you very much. I'm sending you a whole bunch of love. All right. Anybody card? Hello, Dylan. Thank you for following me. Appreciate you. Ooh. Do I get to like vet this person? Do I get to vet this person? I'm teasing you, love. I'm teasing you. I've often said that it's easy to decide things from the side seat when you're not actually living it and stuff, right? Like, silly. All right. Can I get a card for Lauren's boyfriend? Okay. I don't do those kind of readings, love, Dylan. The types of readings that I'll pull you a card, and it's the message that you're meant to get. And if it aligns with the question that you asked, then that's a bonus. And I'll explain afterwards what I mean by that. Okay. So for your boyfriend, Lauren, clarity is what you need. And it's called You Are Adding Meaning. And what this means is that you are interpreting beyond the facts. Meaning is being layered onto neutral or other events, increasing emotional intensity. Okay, so we're adding meaning to things. So it's almost like he's in his mind, maybe adding a little bit of extra to something that someone's saying. And we all do it, right? I call it it's our trauma pinball machine that everything has to go through. So when it goes through that, we make meaning of things. And when we make meaning of things, oftentimes we're adding to it. And that can be because like maybe we have an insecurity somewhere. So we, like say my mom called me, my mom, I did get called Miss Piggy and pork chop. So I thought I was fat. So I would, in a situation, if somebody said something, I might mishear, or I might add to them, or I might think that somebody was thinking something negative towards my size, right? So I might add stuff into something that isn't actually there. So anyway, the embodiment practice, or how you work with this, is to identify what is fact versus what is interpretation. So where are you adding to it? What do you really know? And I used to always do this when I was on my healing journey. I'd be like, what's the facts, ma'am? Just the facts, ma'am. I said stuff like that to myself for real. If I got really, really, really it sucks now because honestly, knowing about P. Diddy, but yeah, I used to say it's hammer time. But that was a different thing, but you're welcome. So yeah, see the cards that I give you, love, Dylan. It might not give you that kind of an answer. It's going to give you an answer about what you need. And it's not going to tell you that type of thing. Okay. All right. Can I get a message for Dylan, please? Have a wonderful evening, Liz. I'll be back here. I'm changing it on Wednesday. I'm going to go live at 7:30 p.m. on Wednesday. So that's Mountain Time. I don't know what time you're at, just to give you an idea. And then on Saturdays is 10 a.m. and that's Mountain as well. So if it's 10 a.m. Mountain, it'd be 12 Eastern. And Wednesdays would be 9:30 p.m. Eastern if you're not Mountain, 7:30. All right, Dylan, can I get a card for Dylan, please? Can we get a really good card for Dylan? What does he need to hear right now? Yep. Love you. All right. The card that came out for you came out from the section Boundaries. And the card is called Close the Loop. Complete what is open. Unfinished tasks and conversations occupy mental space. Closing loops restores focus and reduces background stress. So are you having conversations, finishing conversations in your head? All of us do that. Having those conversations. And it's kind of like the question that you asked, right? Right. So you're thinking about something that's a closed loop. You need to close that loop so you can have your energy back. So complete or consciously release that. So you have two choices. Have that conversation with her directly or consciously release it. And that could be where you have the conversation where she just, where she responds to you and says, I don't want to get back together, let's say, right? If we're closing the loop. So you would have that conversation where she tells you that, you get to air out everything that you want to say to her, but maybe she responds in a way that says that it's closed. And that would be the way that you would, in your mind, close the loop, right? You have the conversation while she stands firm in that the relationship is over to allow you to close it, or directly have that conversation with her. Okay. And then that loop may get closed, right? Sometimes we cling so much to the stuff that isn't for us that we stop ourselves from being available for what really is for us, right? And we have to understand what that particular relationship or experience was trying to teach us about ourselves so that we come closer to loving and accepting ourselves and also being truly ourselves. Because most of us are wearing a lot of different masks through our belief systems that society and our parents and our traumas gave us, right? Until we reveal what's underneath those, we're going to be matching up with people to help us reveal what's underneath those layers. We just have to use them as that opportunity to do so. And then we evolve beyond that. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. All right. Does anybody else want a card? We have a bunch of people here. You can get a card. I've got maybe 2 more cards to give. So if you want one, you better put your name down quickly. Oh, I better check on that one. I forgot I covered it up. Oh, so sorry. Oh, that's okay. We're good. We're good. I didn't miss anything. Hi, Luther. How are you? Where are you from, Luther? Nice to see you on here. I don't know if you're following me yet, but thank you for coming and hanging out. Okay, what does Luther need to hear today? So these are different cards than what you're used to, I'm sure. All right. Can I get a card for Luther, please? Can I get what Luther needs to hear at this time? Hi, Carol. Nice. I just moved back to Alberta from Ontario, but I'm originally from Ontario. But I've lived in Alberta, Ontario, and BC. I've lived in 3 different provinces. All righty. So the card came from the integration section, and it says to stay with the decision. Okay. Post-decision doubt can pull you back into uncertainty. Holding your decision builds internal trust and stability. Did you make a decision recently? And are you thinking about maybe going back on that decision? So commit to your decision for a defined period and do not revisit it during that time. Okay. So take whatever time it is. You could say to yourself, I am committing to making, let's say you committed to stop eating pork. Okay. Like I'm pulling something random. At least commit to stop eating pork for 30 days. Maybe you decided you were going to stop smoking weed. At least stop smoking weed for 30 days, right? Like that's what it means. Like at least set a time frame that you've made that decision. Give yourself a serious amount of time. If you decided to say quit your job and go out on your company, say to yourself, I'm going to give myself 6 months or I'm going to give myself a year before I change that decision, right? Let's say that you made enough money that you had like a whole year's worth of your living and you could go and chase your dreams, right? Give yourself that year then. Make that decision, go take that year and go for it, right? Because you've made that decision, but don't go back on it. You can't revisit it. You can't revisit it, okay? I like that card. That was a good one. Okay, who's next? I got maybe one more card. One more card. You're welcome. You're welcome. And I don't know what the question or the decision was that you made, but do make sure that you figure out what time frame is good for you. Okay, for whatever decision. You have a wonderful night, Luther. And do follow me so you can come and hang out again. All righty. So, Carol, what can I get for Carol? Carol. Hi, Carol. All right. Your card comes from the regulation section. Hello, the Alexanders. How are you? It comes from the regulation section. And what it says is your breath regulates your system, which it absolutely does. Okay. Your breathing pattern directly signals safety or threat to your system. When breath is shallow or fast, activation increases. Slowing and lengthening your breath tells your system it can begin to settle. The embodiment practice is to inhale for 4 seconds, exhale for 6 seconds, repeat 10 times, keep your attention anchored on the exhale. Are you breathing a little fast lately, my love? Are you still there, Alexander? Would you like a card? Hi, Dawn. Thank you for following me. You've been checking your posture today? Hi, Lawrence. All right, Lawrence, these are different cards, though. I think you have a message coming in. When I was reading it, it wasn't about the regulation. It was about receiving information. Okay, I'm going to give you a choice, Lawrence. Okay, so this is my right hand, because I don't know, it might be reversed to you. And this is my left hand. 2 cards came out. I'm going to give you the choice of right or left. And I know there's nothing to give you a difference in either one. You're welcome. Right? All right. This comes from the section clarity. And what it is called is separate thoughts, separate. I don't know why it sounded weird. Separate thought from reality. Thoughts are not facts. Thoughts can feel convincing, especially under stress. They are internal events, though, not external truth. Learning to label them creates space between you and what your mind is producing. Embodiment. As thoughts arise, label them as thinking. Don't follow them. Return to your breath and your body. Okay? Because not every thought that we have is true. And a lot of times we are doing future forecasting and mind reading. We're assuming we know what people are thinking, what they're doing, why they didn't invite us somewhere, why somebody else got a raise and we didn't, why we got overlooked. Like we make so many stories up in our mind and with zero proof of any of it. Right? We just go off on these, and our brains are very, very good at doing that. So we have to get really good at realizing that, wait a second, I don't know that's true. That could be, it could be. It's not to say that you're wrong, but at least take a moment to say, these are just thoughts. I'm thinking, these are thoughts. They're not necessarily true. You can always go back to what are the facts, right? What are the facts in the situation? What do I actually know are the facts? And that was one of my favorite things to do when I was healing, was reminding myself of the facts. Did that card resonate? All righty, I am going to get ready to go, and I just wanted to check and see how's everyone doing. I will be back on Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. So actually, like right at this time here, we'll do the collective check-in first, and then we'll talk about a bunch of different things. I'm not sure. I'm thinking about just checking in. Let me see. I'm looking for something. Yep. Hi, Sandrian. Thank you, Carol. I love you. Hi, Jen. I can pull a card for you. Let's see what we have for Jen. Can I get a message for Jen, please, Spirit? Can we get a good message? The card that you got came from the section Reconnection, and it's called Come Back to Now. Return to the present. The present moment is where regulation occurs. Bringing attention here reduces projection and stabilizes perception. So your embodiment practice, ask, where am I? Answer, here, and then notice your surroundings. So one of the practices that I love teaching people, and I've taught them this a number of times for regulation, and to bring yourself back into the present moment, is to focus on the sensation of touch, from rubbing your thumb across your fingers Then you can slow your breath down because that's always a bonus. Most times our breath is up here. We're not engaging our diaphragm. So inhale nice through the nose, exhale longer through the mouth, rubbing your fingers. And then you're just going to go through a series of questions and answers. And the first one is, where am I? And it's here. And then you say, what time is it now? And then, who am I? I am. You can stop with that, or you can add the next two. The first one is, what is happening? And that's where you just the facts. What is happening right now? And, like I've been someone that had like panic disorder, and I could be out in the middle of public and I could catch the smell of the cologne of my abuser, and I would be just immediately having a panic attack in the middle of the grocery store. And when I was doing my healing journey, I had 2 minutes. I gave myself 2 minutes to calm down. And if I could get myself regulated in 2 minutes, I would stay. But if I didn't, I gave myself full permission to just push the cart over to the side and keep on and walk out of the store. They have staff for that. My safety is more important. So I would go outside. So that one question, what is the facts? That's an opportunity for you to go, what are the facts? Right now I'm standing in the grocery store. My hands are on the grocery cart. I'm staring at a box of whatever was on the shelf, right? There's people walking around me. My feet are on the ground. My purse is right there. Like whatever it is, right? You're focusing on your environment and you're telling yourself what exactly is the facts of what's going on within their surroundings. The next question that you can go to after that is, what do I need? And that was a question, if I got through that point of what are the facts and I started to calm down, what do I need could be, I need to just take a moment, take a few more breaths. I need to, whatever it was, or I need to leave. Maybe right at that point, I was like, yep, you know what? I got this 2 minutes is done. I need to leave. I need to get out of here. I need to go to my car. I need to go home. I need whatever it was. And I would do what was telling myself to do. So I hope that helps. I hope that was a good message for you. Hi, African. So yes, I am back on Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. Mountain, which would be 9:30 p.m. on you're so welcome, love, which would be 9:30 p.m. Eastern. And then after that, it is the global meditation. We do the energy check-in and then we do the global meditation. And that is on Saturday at 10 a.m. Mountain or noon Eastern. Okay, so those are the next 2 times that I'm live. That's my schedule for now. 6 p.m. Sundays, 7:30 p.m. Wednesdays, and 10 a.m. on Saturdays. And I'll put a post up so that's up there. But yeah. All right, guys, I love you. I'm going to get off of here and go hang out with my dog because he's awfully cute. And plus I have some meditation I want to do. I get messages sometimes when I meditate. And the more that you play with your practice, like the more you practice and do your practice, then maybe at some point you'll come to the point where you just love your practices. And so then you want to actually do them. I love you, sweetheart. You have a great night too. Mwah. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. I'll see you, like I said, Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. Mountain or 9:30 p.m. Eastern. Have a great night, guys. I'm going to shut it down in order. We're going to go with the StreamYard. So we'll shut down the Facebook and YouTube crews.